Pharma Shakti, outlay of 10,000 crores over the next 5 years. This will be an ecosystem for domestic production of biologics and biosimilars. The strategy will include a biopharma focus network with National Institutes of Pharmaceutical Innovation and Research, named Hyper, and upgrading 7 months. It will also create a network of 1,000 accredited clinical trials sites, proposed to strengthen central drug standard control organization standards and approve through and approve timeframes through a scientific review cadre and specialists. India's semiconductor mission 1.0 expanded India's semiconductor sector on this. Launch ISM 2.0 to produce equipment and materials, design full stack and for chains. Also focus on industry-led research centers to develop technology and skilled workforce. The electronics components manufacturing scheme launched in April by an outlay of 20,919 already has investment companies and targets. We propose to increase the outlay 40,000 to capitalize on this momentum. A scheme for rare earth permanent magnets was launched in 2025 November. We now propose to support the mineral states of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu to establish dedicated rare earth corridors to promote mining, processing, research, and manufacturing. To enhance domestic chemical production and reduction dependency and reduce import dependency, launch a scheme to support states in establishing trade parks challenge on a cluster-based plug-in model. Strong capital good. Strong capital is a determinant of productivity and quality across different sectors. Towards building this capacity, I propose the following. High-tech tool rooms will be established by central public sector enterprises at 2 locations as did automated service bureau that design, test, and manufacture high-precision components at scale and at cost. 2. A scheme for enhancement of construction and infrastructure will be introduced to strengthen stigma, high value, and technologically advanced CIE. This can range from lifts in a multi-storied apartment or firefighting multiplexes, large or small, and to tunnel bores for building close and high altitude roads. I also propose a scheme for container manufacturing, create a globally competitive container manufacturing ecosystem with a budgetary allocation of 10,000 crores over 5 years. For the labor-intensive textile sector, I propose a program, 5 subparts. 1. The National Fiber Scheme for Self-Reliance in Natural Fibers, such as silk, wool, and jute, man-made fibers, and new age fibers. Textile expansion and employment scheme to modernize traditional clusters, capital support, machinery, technology upgradation, and common testing and certification centers. 3. The National Handloom and Handicraft Program integrate and strengthen existing schemes and ensure targeted support for weavers and artisans. Tex Eco initiative to promote competitive, sustainable textiles and Samarth 2.0 modernize the upgrade and the textile skilling system, collaboration, and academic institutions. Further, I propose to set up a mega textile. I propose to set up mega textile parks. Challenge. They can also focus on bringing value to textiles. I propose to launch Mahatma Gandhi Gram Swaraj initiative. Strengthen and this will help in global market and branding. Streamline and support training, skilling, quality of process, and production. This will benefit the weavers, industries, one district, one product initiative, and also our rules. India has the potential to emerge as a global hub for high quality, affordable sports goods. I propose a dedicated initiative for sports goods that will promote manufacturing, research, and innovation in design as well as material sciences. Rejuvenation of legacy industrial clusters. I propose to introduce a scheme to revive 200 legacy industrial clusters to improve their cost competitiveness and efficiency, infrastructure, and technology upgradation. Creating champion SMEs and supporting micro enterprises. Recognizing MSMEs as a vital engine of growth, I propose a three-pronged approach to help them grow as champions. Equity support. I propose to introduce a dedicated 10,000 SME growth fund to create future champions, incentivizing enterprises based on select. I also propose to top up the Self-Reliant India Fund, set up 2021, 4,000 crores to support to micro enterprises and maintain access to risk capital. Support. Threats. 7 lakh crores has been made available to MSMEs. To leverage its full potential, I propose 4 things. 1. Mandate threats as the transaction settlement platform for all purchases SMEs by CPEs, serving as a benchmark with other corporates. 2. Introduce a credit guarantee support mechanism through CGTMSC for interest discounting on trades platform. 3. Link trades for sharing information financiers about government purchases from MSMEs, encouraging cheaper and cheaper financing. 4. Introduce trades receivables as asset-backed securities, helping develop secondary market, enhancing liquidity and settlement of transactions. Professional support. Government will facilitate professional institutions such as the ICAI, ICSI, ICMAI to design short modular courses and practical tools to develop a cadre of corporate class, especially and field. These accredited para-professionals help MSMEs to compliance requirements and afford structure. During this past week, our government has undertaken several initiatives for large-scale enhancement of public infrastructure, including through financing instruments such as infrastructure investment and State Investment Trust, and institutions like NIIF and NAF we shall continue to focus on developing cities with over 5 lakh people, that is tier cities, which have expanded to become growth centers. Public expenditure has increased manifold from 2 lakh crore to an allocation of 11.2 lakh in 2025-26. In this coming year, that is financial year 2026-27, I propose to increase it to 12.2 lakh crore to strengthen the confidence of private developers regarding risks, infrastructure development, and construction phase. I propose to set up an infrastructure risk fund to provide calibrated partial credit guarantee lenders. Over the years, rights have emerged as a successful instrument for asset monetization. I propose to accelerate recycling of significant state assets of the CPSEs through the setting up rights to promote environmentally sustainable of cargo. I propose to 1. Establish new freight corridors connecting Dankun in the east to Surat in the west. Operationalize 20 national waterways over the next 5 years. Starting National Waterways 5, Odisha, to connect mineral-rich areas of Talcher and Angur and industrial centers like Kalinga Nagar, the port Paradip and Namra. Training institutes will be set up as regional centers of excellence for development of required manpower. This will benefit the entire stretch of the waterways, train and acquire skills. Further, ship repair system to inland waterways will also be set up at Varanasi and Patna. And C. Launch a cargo scheme for incentivizing shift from rail to road, brings the share of inland waterways and coast shipping from 6% 12% by 2047. To enhance last mile connectivity and from some, I propose to give incentives to nice manufacturing of seaplanes. A seaplane VGF scheme we also provide support for operations. Carbon capture, utilization, and storage. Aligning that launched in December 2025, the carbon capture utilization and storage technologies at scale will achieve higher returns and end use applications across 5 industrial sectors, including power, steel, cement, refineries, and chemicals. And out thousands proposed next 5 years for this purpose. City economic regions. Cities are India's engines of growth, innovation, and opportunities. We shall now focus on tier 2, tier 3 cities, and even temple towns, which need modern infrastructure and basic amenities. This budget aims to further amplify the potential of cities to deliver economic power of by mapping city economic regions on their specific drivers and allocation of funds per CR over 5 years is proposed for implementing their plan. Challenge outcome result based financing mechanism. In order to promote environmentally sustainable passenger systems, we will develop 7 high-speed rail corridors between cities as growth connector, namely Mumbai to Pune, Hyderabad, Hyderabad to Chennai, Chennai to Delhi to Varanasi, Varanasi to Siliguri. Sector. The Indian banking sector today is characterized by strong balance sheet, historic highs in profitability, asset quality, and coverage exceeding 98% of villages in the country. At this juncture, we are well placed to futuristically evaluate measures needed to continue on the path of growth of this sector. I propose setting up a high-level on banking Vikasit Bharat, high-level committee on banking for Vikasit Bharat, comprehensively for the sector, and it with just next phase of growth while safeguarding financial stability, inclusion, and consumer protection. The vision for NBFCs for Vikasit Bharat has been outlined with just targets for credit disbursement and technology adoption in order to achieve scale and improve efficiency in public sector NBFCs. As a first step, it's proposed to restructure the Power Finance Corporation and Rural Electrification Corporation. I propose a comprehensive review of the foreign exchange management on debt instruments rules to create a sovereign foreign consistent evolving economic priorities. Corporate market. I propose to introduce a market making suitable access to funds and derivatives on corporate basis. I also propose to introduce total return swap on corporate municipal bonds to encourage the issuance of municipal bonds higher value by larger cities. I propose an incentive of 100 crore rupees for a single issuance. 100 is for single bond issuance more than 1,000 crore scheme under Amrit. Current scheme under Amrit, which incentivizes issuances up to also continue to support smaller and medium accounts. That will also continue to support smaller and doing individual persons resident outside will be permitted to invest in instruments listed in companies through the investment scheme. It is also proposed to raise the investment limit for an individual ROI under the scheme from 5% to 10%. And overall investment limit for all ROIs 24% from the country 10%. Emerging technologies including AI. 21st century is technology driven. Adoption of technology is for the benefit of all farmers in the field, women in STEM, youth keen to upskill, and younger access for opportunities. The government has taken several steps to support new technologies, AI mission, National Quantum Anusandhan, National Research Fund, and Research and Development and Innovation Fund. Our second purpose is to fulfill aspirations and build capacities. Close to 25 crore individuals have come out of multi-dimensional poverty through a decade of our government subscribing that has therefore decided to place a renewed emphasis on the service sector to provide a pathway to aspirations of youthful India with the following measures. I propose to set up a high-powered education to employment and standing committee to recommend measures that focus on services sector as a driver of Viksit Bharat. This will make us a global services 10% global share by 2047. The committee will prioritize areas to optimize the potential for employment and export. They will also assess the impact of emerging technologies, including AI, on jobs and skill requirements and propose measures thereof. To create a range of skilled career pathways, the new skilled career pathway for our youth, I propose interventions in sectors. Health. Existing institutions for allied health professionals be upgraded and new institutions established in government sectors. This will cover 10 selected disciplines, including pathology, anesthesia, pathology, applied psychology, and health, and 1 lakh next 5 years. A strong care system covering geriatric and allied care services will be a variety of NSQF aligned programs, multi-skilled caregivers, combining core care and allied skills such as wellness, yoga, and operation of assistive devices. Coming up, 1.5 lakh caregivers will be trained. For medical value to promote India as a hub for services, I propose to launch a scheme to support in establishing 5 medical hubs in partnership with the private sector. These hubs serve as integrated healthcare complexes that combine medical, education, and research with its facilities. Ayush centers, medical value facilitation centers, and infrastructure for diagnostics, care, and rehabilitation. These hubs provide diverse opportunities for health professionals, including doctors and AHPs. Ancient Indian yoga, already respected in several parts of the world, was given a mass global recognition when Honorable Prime Minister to the Ayurveda gained similar global acceptance and recognition. Exporting quality Ayurveda products helps farmers who grow herbs and youth who use the products. To meet global demand, a few more steps are being. I propose to 1. Set up All India Institutes for Ayurveda. 2. Pharmacy. Testing apps high standard system and make available skilled person. 3. Upgrade WHO Global Traditional Medicine Center in Ramnagar to both evidence-based research and wellness traditional medicine. Animal husbandry. Livestock contributes to close to 16% of farm income, including of poor and marginal households. To scale up availability of professionals by more than 20,000, I propose to roll out a capital subsidy support scheme for establishment of and para-veterinary hospital, diagnostic laboratory, and leading facilities and private sector. Collaboration institutions will also be facilitated. Orange economy, India's animation, visual effects, and comics sector, AVGC sector, is a growing industry expected to require 2 million professionals by 20. I propose to support Indian Institute of Technologies, Mumbai, setting up AVGC content lab in 15,000 secondary schools all over the country and 500. The Indian design industry is expanding rapidly, and yet there is a shortage of Indian designers. I propose to establish, challenge a new National Institute of Design to boost design education and development in the eastern region of India. Education. Our government will support states through challenge in creating 5 university townships in the vicinity of major industrial and logistics corridors. These planned academic zones will host multiple universities, colleges, and research institutions, skill centers, and residential complexes. Higher STEM institutions prolong the hours of study and collaborate and laboratory work, some challenges for girl students. Through VGF, viability gap funding and capital support, one girls hostel will be established in every district. Astrophysics and astronomy via immersive experiences. 4 telescope structure facilities is set up or upgraded. The National Large Solar Telescope, National Large Infrared Telescope, the Himalayan Chandra Telescope, and the Cosmos 2 planetarium. Tourism. Tourism sector has the potential large role in employment generation, forex earning, and expanding the local economy. I propose to set up National Institute of Hospitality by upgrading the existing National Council for Management and Technology. It will function as a bridge between academia, industry, and government. I also propose a pilot scheme for upskilling 10,000 guides, 20 iconic tourist sites through a standardized, high quality, 12-week training in hybrid in collaboration with the Indian Institute of Management. A national destination digital knowledge grid will be established to document all places of significance, cultural, spiritual, and heritage. This initiative will create ecosystem of jobs for local researchers, historians, content, and technology partners. India has the potential and opportunity world-class trekking and hiking experience. We will develop ecologically sustainable mountain trails in Himachal, Uttarakhand, and Jammu Kashmir. Eastern Ghats and put Himalayas in the Western Ghats. Personal trails along key nesting sites in the coastal areas of Odisha, Karnataka, and Kerala, and bird watching along the lake, Andhra Pradesh, Nadu, on the border. Under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister, we established the International Cat Alliance in 2024. This year, India is hosting the first ever Global Cat Summit, where heads of governments and ministers from 95 countries on collective strategy, concern, heritage and culture tourism. I proposed in archaeological sites, including Dolavira, Rakhigarhi, Adichandu, Sarnath, Hastinapur, and Lake Palace into vibrant spiritual destinations, excavated landscapes, public created walkways. Immersive story skills and technologies will be used to help conservation labs, centers, and guides. The sports sector provides multiple types of employment, skilling, job opportunities. Taking forward the systematic of sports talent set in motion the earlier, I propose to launch a kit to transform the sports sector over the next year. The mission will facilitate an integrated talent pathway support centers which are found and elites systematic development of and support staff. C. Sports science and technology. D. Competitions and leagues to promote sports, provide platforms. And E. Development of sports infrastructure and competition. Our third Kartavya aligns with our mission of Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas to Viksit Bharat. This requires targeted for 1. Increasing farmer incomes, productivity enhancement, and entrepreneurship. Special attention to small and marginal farmers, covering young access to livelihood opportunities, training, and high quality assistance devices. C. Empowering the vulnerable to access mental health and trauma care. D. Focus on the United States and the Northeast region to accelerate development and employment. Officially, we will undertake integrated development of 500 reservoirs and Amal Sarovars to strengthen the fisheries value chain in coastal areas and enable market linkages involving startups and groups together with fish farmer producer organizations. Animal husbandry to provide quality employment opportunities in rural and urban areas. We will support the husbandry sector in entrepreneurship, development, credit-linked subsidy program, scaling up and organization of stock prices. C. Enhance livestock and enhance creation of livestock, dairy, and poultry integrated value chain. And D. Encourage creation of livestock farmer producer organizations. High value agriculture to diversify farm output, increase productivity, enhance farmers' incomes, and create new employment opportunities. We will support high value crops as coconut, sandalwood, cashew in the coastal areas, other trees, northeast, and nuts such as almonds, walnuts, and pine nuts in our hill regions. These all of them support. India is the world's largest producer of coconuts. About 30 million people, including nearly 10 million farmers, depend on coconuts for their to further enhance competitiveness in production. I propose a promotion scheme to increase production and enhance productivity. Yes, interventions, deep flow in basic and non-productive saplings, plants, or varieties in major groups. A dedicated program for Indian cashew and cocoa to make India self-reliant in raw cashew and coconut production and processing, enhancing competitiveness and transform Indian cashew and to, to premium global by 20. Sandal linked the soul and heritage. Our government will partner with to promote, cultivate, and post-harvest processing, restore and ecosystem to rejuvenate orchard and expand high-density cultivation of walnuts, almonds, and pine nuts, support and to enhance farmer income and value added by Bharat Vistar, that is virtually integrated system to access agricultural resources. I propose to launch Bharat Vistar multi-level AI tool that shall integrate AgriStack and the ICAR package on agricultural practices with AI systems. This will enhance farm productivity, enable better decisions for farmers, and reduce risk by providing customized advisory support. 3 months for rural women-led enterprises. Building on the success of Lakpati Didi program, I propose to help women take the next step from credit of enterprises. Self-help entrepreneurs. She March will set up as community within the cluster level funds, enhanced and innovative financing instruments, empowering young gen, ocean technology, PC sector, hospitality sectors often offer passport and processed returns which are suitable to young gen. We will ensure dignified livelihood opportunities, just development and customized training specific each the young gen. Young Sahara Youth, timely access to high quality assistive devices for all is a fundamental need. I propose to 1. Support the artificial intelligence manufacturing corporation to set up and to production of assistive devices, invest in R&D and AI, strengthen Kingdom, and support setting up of assistive technology marks as modern style set. Young gen and senior citizens can see, try, and assist products. Reaffirming our commitment to mental health and trauma care. There are no natural reasons for mental health care, nothing. We will then set up hands too, and also upgrade national mental health in Kochi and as regional institution. Emergencies expose families, particularly poor and vulnerable, to unexpected expenditure. We will strengthen and increase its capacities by 50% hospital by establishing emergency and trauma care centers. Focus on food states and northeast. I propose development of an east coast Australia and to the creation of 5,000 destinations in 5 states and the provision of 4,000 e-buses. Sites in northeastern region is a civilization conference. Theravada and Mahayana. I propose scheme development of Buddhist circuit in Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Assam. The scheme will cover preservation of temples and monasteries, image centers, connectivity, and program amenities. 16th Finance Commission. On 17th November 2025, the 16th Finance Commission submitted its report to the President as mandated under Article 1 of the Constitution. Government is along with explanation memorandum on the action on the recommendation commission Parliament. Speaker of the session. Government has accepted the commission to read the share revolution at 41%. As recommended by the commission, I have provided 1.4 lakh crores of rupees to the for the year 2026-2027 as Finance Commission grants. These include urban local body and disaster management. Fiscal consolidation. Government has been delivering on our fiscal consistently without compromising on social to strive towards accepted standards of fiscal management. Budget 526. That the central government would target reaching it plus or minus 1% by 2031. In line with the debt to GDP estimate to be 5.6% of GDP 26-27 compared to 6.1% of GDP RE 526. The declining the declining the declining 25-26. The decline the decline 61. This was completed in a record time, and the Income Tax Act 2025 will come into effect from 1st April 2026. The simplified tax rules and forms quite shortly, giving adequate time to taxpayers to acquit themselves by rules. Forms have been redesigned such that ordinary citizens can comply without difficulty. Of living. I propose that any interest awarded by the accident tribunal to a natural will be exempt from income tax, and any TDS on this account done away with. I propose to reduce CS rate on the sale of overseas tour package from the current 5% and 20% to 2% without any stipulation of amount. I propose to reduce TCS rate for pursuing education and for medical purposes under the Rice Remittance Scheme as NRS from 5%. Supply of manpower services is specifically brought within the ambit contractors. Purpose of TDS avoid ambiguity. Thus, TDS on these services will be at the rate of 1% or 2%. I propose a scheme for small taxpayers with a rule-based automated process, obtaining a lower or nil deduction certificate instead of filing an application assessing for the ease of taxpayer in multiple companies. I propose to accept Form 15 or 14H from the investor and provide it directly to relevant companies. I propose to extend time available for revising returns from 31st December to up to 31st March with the payment of a nominal fee. I also propose to stagger the timeline for filing of tax returns. Individual ITR 1 and ITR 2 will continue to file till 31st July, and non-audit cases plus are proposed TDS on sale of property by a non-resident is proposed, deducted and deposited resident buyers and his or her can pay instead of that. It is a temporary accounting now. To address practical issues of small taxpayers like students, young professionals, tech employees, relocated NRIs, and such others, I propose the one-time 6-month foreign asset scheme for these taxpayers or assets below a certain size. The scheme would be available for categories of their taxpayers did not disclose their overseas assets and disclose their overseas income and or paid no tax but could not declare asset acquired. For category A of undisclosed income or asset is proposed up to 1 crore. Need to pay the fair market value of asset of income as tax and 30 as additional income tax penalty and would thereby get Category B, asset value is proposed up to 5 crore. Here, penalty from both penalty and prosecution will be available of fee 1 lakh rupees. Rationalizing penalty and prosecution. Multiplicity of proceedings are hindrance to the ease of doing business. I propose assessment and penalty proceedings by way of a common order. There will be no liability on the taxpayer on the penalty for the period of up for the party, irrespective of the outcome of the process. Further, quantum of prepayment from 20%, 10%, and will calculate tax demand. As an additional factor for reducing litigation, I propose allow taxpayers to update them even after reassessment proceedings have been initiated, and an additional 10% tax rate and above the rating officer then use update work for immunity from penalty in the under. I propose to apply this to misreport. However, in such a case, the taxpayer will need to pay 100% of the tax amount as an additional income tax above the tax sentenced. Penalties for certain technical defaults, such as failure to get accounts audited, non-furnishing of transfer price audit, and default in furnishing statement, financial are proposed fee. Proposed to rationalize prosecution framework under income tax act while maintaining a careful balance for something. Non-production of account and documents and requirement of TDS payment when payment is made in kind are being decriminalized. Further, minor offences will attract fine only. Training prosecution consulate with quantum of only maximum and power to convert even though there is no penalty. There is no penalty presently. Non-disclosure of non-assets. Aggregate value. From 1/10/2024. Cooperators. Deduction is already allowed to a primary cooperative society engaged in supplying milk, oils, fruits, or vegetables based or by its members. I propose that this deduction also includes supply of cattle feed and cotton seed produced by its members. I propose to allow inter-cooperative society income as deduction under the tax regime to the extent it is further distributed to its members. I further propose to allow exemption for a period of 3 years to dividend income received by a notified national federation on the investments made in companies up to 1/1/26. This exemption would be allowed only for dividends further member corporate. Supporting IT sector as India's global software development services, IT-enabled services, knowledge also services, and contract R&D services. Software development. These businesses and their segments are quite interconnected with each other. All these services are clubbed under a single category information technology services common safe harbor margin of 15.5% applicable threshold for availing safe harbor for IT services is being enhanced substantially from 300 crores safe harbor IT services can be applied by an automated rule-driven process without any need for tax officers examine and accept the one supplied by an IT services company. Same safe harbor can be continued for a period of 5 years at a stretch at its choice. For IT services companies who want to conduct advanced pricing agreement, I propose fast-track unilateral APA process for IT services and endeavor to conclude it within a period of 2 years. Period of 2 years can be extended by further months on tax. I propose in the best or the modified written available to the entering with its associated entity. Attracting global business and investment. Recognizing the need to enable critical infrastructure and boost investment in I propose to provide till 2047 any foreign company that provides cloud services by using services from India. However, need to provide services to Indian customers when Indian reseller need. I also propose to provide a safe harbor of 2% on cost increase. Company providing data centers from India dated to harness the efficiency of just-in-time logistics for electronic manufacturing. I propose to provide safe harbor to non-residents, component warehousing, a bonded warehouse at a profit margin of 2 value. The resultant tax of about 0.7%, much lower than in competing jurisdictions. To provide toll manufacturing in India, I propose to provide exemption from tax for 5 years. Any non-resident who provides capital equipment or to any toll manufacturer the bonded to encourage vast talent to work longer time. I propose to provide exemption to global non-India source of a non-resident expert for a stay period of 5 years under notified schemes. I propose to provide exemption from minimum rate tax act to all non-residents who pay tax on tax administration. I propose to constitute a joint committee of Ministry of Corporate Affairs and Central Board of Direct Taxes for incorporating the requirements of income computation and disclosure standards (ICS) in the Indian Accounting Standard as said. Separate accounting requirement based on ICS from the tax year 7-8 to support Prime Minister Modi's vision of homegrown accounting and advisory firms to become global leaders and rationalize definition of accountant for the purposes of safe harbor rules. Other tax proposals, change in taxation of was brought in to address the improper use of buyback rule by in the interest of minority shareholders. I propose tax buyback for all types of shareholders as capital. However, to incentivize misuse of tax arbitrage, promoters will pay an additional buyback tax. This will make effective tax 22% for corporate promoters. For non-corporate promoters, the effective tax will be TCS rate for sellers of specific goods, alcoholic liquor, scrap, and minerals will be rationalized to 2%, and that on vendors will be reduced from 5% to 2%. I propose to raise the STT on futures to 0.05% from the present 0.0. STT on options premium and exercise of options are both proposed to be raised to 0.15% from the present rate of 0.1% and 0.125 respectively. We reformed the taxation landscape for corporates in 2019 by providing them a simplified regime, lower tax rate, so that they could productively on business rather than on claim of deductions and exemptions. To encourage companies to shift to the set off of broad form tax credit, minimum ordinary tax credit, is proposed to be allowed companies in the new regime. Set off using available credit is proposed to be allowed to an extent of 1/4 of the tax regime. That proposed to be made final tax. So there will be further credit accumulation from 1st April 6. In line with this change, rate of final tax is being reduced to 14% from the current rate of 15%. The brought forward VAT credit of taxpayers accumulated till 30th March 2026 continue to be available to them set off as above. Indirect taxes. I shall now take up proposals related to indirect taxes. My proposals for customs and central excise aim by the tariff structure, support domestic manufacturing, export competitiveness, and correct to continue weeding out long continuing custom exemptions. I propose certain exemptions on items which are being manufactured in India or where are negligible. Similarly, further simplify the process of ascertaining applicable on particular item. I propose to incorporate certain effective rates, customs notifications, tariff set. I shall now take up sector-specific concepts. Promotion of exports of marine, leather, and textile products. I propose to increase the limit for duty-free import of specified used for processing seafoods for export from the current 1% to 3% of value of the previous year's export turnover. I also propose to allow duty-free specified which is currently available for export, leather or silk, to exports of shoe uppers as well. I propose to extend the time period for export final product from the existing 6 months to 1 year for exporters of leather or textile garments, leather or synthetic and other leather products. Energy transition and security. I propose to extend the exemption to capital used for manufacturing lithium-ion cells for battery energy storage system. So I propose that on import sodium antimony for use in manufacture of solar power I propose to extend the existing customs exemption on import of goods required for nuclear power projects till the year 2025 and expand it for all nuclear plants irrespective of capacity. Biogas blended CNG. Civil and defense aviation. Proposed to exempt basically on components and parts required for the manufacture of civilian training and other aircrafts. It is proposed to exempt basic customs duty on raw material manufacture of parts of aircraft to be used in maintenance, repair, or overall requirements by units in the defense sector. Electronics. To deepen value addition in the consumer electronics sector, I propose to exempt customs on specified parts used in the manufacture of microwave ovens. Special economics to address the concerns arising about utilization of capacity by manufacturing units in special economics. Global disruptions, I propose as a special one-time measure facilitate sales by eligible manufacturing units in SEZs to the domestic tariff area and concessional rate of quantity of such sales to a prescribed of their export. Necessary regulatory changes undertaken to operationalize the measures while ensuring level playing field for the youth working in the ease of living. To rationalize the custom structure for goods import personally, I propose to tariff rate on all duplicable personally from 20 to 10%. To provide relief to patients, particularly those suffering cancer, I propose to exempt basic customs on 17 drugs or medicines. Also to add 7 more rare diseases for the purposes of exempting on personal drugs, medicines, and food for special medical purposes, customs process. India and shared global trade is poised for a major in line with our ambition and journey towards Viksit Bharat. In this regard, I propose many measures for custom processes to have intervention for smoother and faster movement of goods and greater certainty. Trust-based systems. I propose to enhance due period for tier 2 authorized economic operators from 15 days to 30. I propose to provide manufacturers same duty deferral facility, encourage them to give as a full tier 3 to provide greater certainty and for better business planning. I propose to extend validity period advance route binding on customs from the present 3 years to 5 years in the spirit of government. Agencies will be encouraged to leverage EU accreditation for preferential treatment in clearing their targets. Regulators with trusted long-standing supply chains will be recognized in the system so that the need for verification of a cargo every time can be made. Export cargo using electronics. Export cargo using electronic sealing provided clearance from the factory premises to the ship. For import of goods not needing any compliance, filing of bill by a trusted importer and arrival automatically by customs completing their clearance formalities enable goods to be released immediately on arrival. Customs warehouse framework being transformed into a warehouse centric system, self declarations, electronic tracking, and risk based audit. These reforms will move away from the current system, officer dependent approvals, and reduce transaction fees and compliance costs. Ease of doing business. Approved for cargo from various government agencies, seamlessly processed to a single and interconnected window by the end of the financial year. Processes involved in clearance of food, drugs, plant, animal and wildlife products, accounting for about 70% of cargo, will be operationalized in the system by April 26 itself. For goods not having compliance requirement, clearance will be done by customs immediately after registration is completed by the importer, subject to the customs integrated system will be rolled out in years as a single integrated platform for all customs processes, utilizing non-intrusive scanning, advanced imaging, and AI technology for risk assessment will be expanded in manner objective to scan every container across export opportunity, support Indian fishermen, we harness the economic value of marine resources beyond our waters, following fish catch by an Indian fishing vessel in exclusive economics or on the high seas made free of landing of such fish on foreign ports treated as export. Safeguards will be put in place to prevent misuse, catch, transit, or transship. To support aspirations of India's small businesses, artisans, and startups to access global markets through e-commerce, I'm pleased to announce complete removal of the current value cap of 10